It's November. It's time for the Twinsburg Mayor's Report. Kathy Prokop is here, and she'll be with us talking for the next 20 minutes, hopefully or so, about things in Twinsburg and why we're talking November. I got the other two already answered this. Where are we salt-wise? Because I got to think we're going to get hit sooner than later.
Yeah, we're afraid we're going to get hit sooner than later. Good way to put it. It's not looking great for this coming winter from what I hear. But our salt shed is totally filled. We're in the CEU program, and salt will be available as we need it, just like it was last year. So we are prepared.
Tell them what the CEU program is.
That is it. Well, there's a couple different ways you can purchase salt, and that's a consortium, a state consortium. Now, the other option, obviously, is ODOT. And fortunately, we were in the right program last year. And
you missed out.
We had the availability of salt and had a good price on it.
But
that swings both ways. You never know which one to get into. But last year we lucked out. We were in the right program.
Let's hope we don't need as much as last year either. But
yeah.
All right, the big news, and we're not going to dwell on this because when it gets closer to the actual month, then we'll kind of reminisce a little. But I saw in I think it was Beacon or Plain Dealer, one of them, that you no longer tiptoeing around whether you're rerunning or not. This will be it a year from now.
I have a full year of work left. But I have been getting so many questions from the community. Obviously, they know that next year is a voting year for a mayor. And I just wanted to be able to clear the decks for everybody that's running, give them an opportunity to get out there and campaign. And I wanted to just give the community the direction for the way the city will be going in the future.
Now, and not that I've heard this or anyone has said this, but how will you... I know you because we've been together forever, and you're not going to be one of these lame duck for the next year deals. But have you kind of got it in your head that there's a lot you still want to accomplish in the next?
Oh, absolutely. As you know, we just approved the FedEx project at Cornerstone Business Park. That is it's underway as far as ready to begin. There's a couple spec buildings. I believe that there's a tenant for one of the spec buildings, and I want to see that absolutely through, make sure that we're giving out the proper tax incentives and we're still marketing it. Anybody that follows me will do the same, but that's been one of my pet projects. Also, the Nature Center is underway. And one of the big things is the Cost of Freedom traveling tribute that's coming to the city of Twinsburg in July. There's lots of fundraising going on right now. They're having a wine tasting coming up and a bourbon tasting event. So fundraising is still...
Give me those dates.
Yeah,
I want to go to that
fundraising is still necessary, but that is just going to be a spectacular event for the VFW, for the community next July.
Let's talk about that a little bit. They have made that clear since day one that this just doesn't come to town. There's years of work involved before you actually have the event. Just being able to raise, because it's that elaborate and that immense, there's enough fundraising that needs to be done years ahead of time to even bring it to a town.
Oh, absolutely. When we first applied, when we found out council was going to approve having the event, VFW contacted them, and it was a 2-year wait to even have the tribute come to the city of Twinsburg, which is good because as we found out, we have about $80,000 to raise. We're almost there. We're somewhere about $70,000. And it gave us the time to be able to do that so that we do this event properly. It's not just going to be thrown together. There's so much thought going into the activities, and it's going to be wonderful.
And because, let's go back to what you were talking about before, because your footprint was such a part of being there when Chrysler left, going to the voters and asking for help, taking that off after you promised the voters you would when it did start getting tenants in there. That's your little baby that, on top of the FedEx thing, I'm sure there's other things you'd like to say they're coming before you leave.
Oh, definitely. As you know, you just mentioned it, when we removed that 0.25% income tax, our collections now are down about 8%.
Right.
So that's a significant hit. Fortunately, we were able to build up some reserves, which I know that we'll be spending into as we're working through the budget process right now. But with Cornerstone going up, we're starting to recover. With Cleveland Clinic coming in, we have Sussex Memory Care. That is a new facility that will be built. We have lots of business expansions going on. Heartland is now open and operating. We're getting there. But I'd really like to see us on firm footing by the end of next year.
let me take that a little step further now. How much more area or space is there for, you've really done a wonderful job attracting the medical profession, the Cleveland Clinic, University Hospitals, the kidney place, all these things. Is there much more space to bring maybe an area of medical area that I'm not even familiar with that may want to move here?
There's really not. There's some infill within the commercial industrial areas, but the big site, of course, is Chrysler. After FedEx comes in, and with Vistar already being there will be about 130 acres, so that's still significant. Mm-hmm. But I don't see that necessarily for a medical purpose. Mostly the medical seems to be a conglomerate around the Route 91 corridor.
Right, which is perfect proximity for every one of them.
It is.
Does Larry Finch continue to go full speed ahead as far as trying to fill those other 138 acres?
Oh, absolutely. We work hand in hand with the owners of the property and with Terry Coyne, who is marketing the property. And besides that, we have some vacant properties we're really working hard and have been, but they haven't been going anywhere.
That are already built.
That are already built, such as the Donatos on Wilcox Boulevard.
Right.
And that place we're hoping to get filled up. The other property is it's going to be going to auction, so there's a few things going on, but lots of work to do. Yes,
old,
Damon's,
right? Because that is an untapped area now, as far as having
is.
Space available there.
It is. There's a few things at Canyon Falls also.
Okay.
Those buildings are filling up. There were some vacancies in the first two that were built, and we're getting to capacity with those buildings, and even looking at another building back at Canyon Falls. So there's good things going on.
Is there any one, and this is the last time I'll bring this up for a while, is there any one reason why the time is right now for you as far as deciding?
Or just retirement age.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. I have my heart in Twinsburg, and I love the job. I love the people. But I also am looking forward to some free time.
Mm-hmm. Do you think people don't realize and I'm not talking about the stress that's involved behind the scenes as far as Chrysler and that sort of thing. But just, you go to work like everyone else does in the morning, and then people go home where you may have a council meeting or a finance meeting or whatever that doesn't start till 5:36, 7 o'clock. So by the time you do finally get to your house, it's past 10. There's a lot of hours.
I have a lot of evenings like that. Some weeks I don't have any evening meetings, and it seems like when I do, it's like 3 nights in a row. Mm-hmm. There's also weekend events that I have to attend, and some of it's fun, and it's great. It's a great opportunity, and I don't think I could have had a job with more diversity in it,
right.
Doing different activities.
It never gets boring.
It never gets boring. It's been a wonderful, wonderful opportunity.
But if you want to sleep in on Memorial Day, guess what? You got to get dressed up, and you have to go, whether it's 90 degrees or not, because you have to be the mayor figure at something like that, too.
That's true. And I have loved doing it, but now it's time for somebody else to do it.
All right, well, then we'll let that go now for a while till later when it gets closer to calling it quits. Your capital I'm going to skip around. Your capital improvement board, this is an important time of the year for them because why? They come up with their ideas for next year or what goes on. And you touched on the budget. Tell us what's going on behind the scenes.
Well, our budget for 2015 is looking to be about $59 million. It's a big budget. We have a lot of projects going on, such as Glen Eagles Golf Course. Right now they're finishing the front 9 with the hole improvements and the driving range and the new putting green. So that project is just about done. But we're looking at other things at Glen Eagles. We're looking at possibly a new clubhouse, and we're looking at road improvements as we do every year. We have big projects out there, and we have a big budget.
Who is on the capital boards? The capital board. What is that made up of?
We have 5 residents on the capital improvement board.
Okay.
And what happens is I get together with the department heads. They put together their capital budget for the year. A lot of it...
Is that a wish list, too?
It does include some wish. There's mostly needs, but there's some wants. And that's what we have to filter through. The capital improvement board reviews and has interviews with all the department heads.
Okay.
They ask them questions about the projects, why they need them or why they want them. And then that capital improvement board will whittle away, and they make recommendations to council.
And if I'm not mistaken, are we in the $7-8 million range usually year to year as far as
That's
that
usually
goes?
just our, that's, yes, for our capital.
Capital, yeah.
For basically for our capital. This year we're splitting it into two different areas. Our street construction, maintenance, and repair, which is where money for those projects goes, we are now going to put our road projects in that account. And our capital will be strictly for equipment purchases and items that we use, things that we use longer than 5 years.
Right.
So we will have two different line items now. But it's really nice because when I go to the SCMR line item, I can see exactly what we're spending on our road projects.
How are you able to do that without changing, or was it never written into the charter to do it this way? Is this just, it could have been done this way since day one, but you just chose not
Well,
to?
you know, at one time it was broken out.
Oh, it was originally.
Right, and then eventually was combined, and now we're breaking it out again. It's just different
Whatever.
ways that council wants to see it or the finance director wants to see it. So personally, I like it this way. I like to really be able to see what we're spending for specific things.
Okay. Now
But
next-
anyway, those are the things that the Capital Improvements Committee will they will make recommendations to council, and council then goes through the whole process with the department heads and reviews it again.
Okay. That's Capital Improvements Board and
Right.
so on. What is going on behind the scenes right now with the 215 general budget?
The general budget, same thing, except that does not go to a resident board. It goes straight to council. And council will be meeting with every department head, going over their operational budget. In fact, they have met with them. And that budget is only going up 1% this year. So I'm very, very pleased that our
Okay.
department heads have, held their expenses
So
as far as
Karen House
operations.
has already crunched numbers, and these people know kind of what they have to work with.
They do. And there's always further cuts, though.
Right.
We try to really put a few things off every year that we don't necessarily need.
Well,
and-
again, like you said, when you after the 3 years were up, I believe it was 3 years for that income tax, or
Right,
right, you have to watch it
we do.
at this point.
We do. There's a few things that we really caught up with over the last couple years, but we're going to be paring it back down again.
Okay. Before we go down for the meeting, since you touched on this, I want to elaborate a little bit. The clubhouse portion of this, which I believe is not in phase one, we're moving on now because phase one's about done. What do you hope to accomplish if that gets pushed through? Banquets?
Well, we hired a...
Because it does bring, you could use it a lot more ways other than strictly for golf if you do have that facility and a liquor license and everything that goes along with
Absolutely. We have a lot of requests for a room size of about 200 people. In fact, I was just talking to Scott Swan
weddings
from
even,
Kent State, and he was saying he has a lot of requests for room sizes of about 200. So that would accommodate businesses during the week for meetings and functions that they want to have. But again, as you just said, showers, weddings.
It could be a moneymaker.
And
or pay
hopefully-
now, would all that, I'm getting way ahead, would that go into the Glen Eagles Fund?
Yes,
or-
it would.
Okay, so
Yes,
it
it
would
would.
have to be used there again then.
But to back up a little bit, we're having a feasibility study done right now about the kinds of revenue that would bring in, what the facility would look like, where the site location at Glen Eagles would be, and all that is being reviewed so that we have a dollar amount to look at, and we would plan on mortgaging that portion of it.
And maybe I'm reading into this, but it seems to me the council as a whole is pretty much behind really taking this a step further.
I believe they are. We purchased the golf course in 1996. We haven't had any major improvements to that
Right.
golf
I mean,
course.
You're coming up on 20 years with that.
We really are. The course improvements, we paid cash for those. So that portion's already paid for or in the process of being paid. And
This is the next step.
this would be the next step. It would be mortgage. The course absolutely is amazing if you look at the changes. The driving range is so much larger now. We will have cement pads, obviously, to tee off and use at the driving range. We have rerouted a lot of the golf cart
yeah,
paths.
That was recent.
In fact, we're just finishing hole 1 and 2 this week. And the reason we did that is that was a safety issue. It was the same thing across the street between 10 and 18.
Okay.
We had the same issue where the cart path went right down the center and people are hitting balls. So now it loops around the outside, the perimeter. We had a lot of tee changes. It's it just makes good sense, speeds up play, and it's safety.
And if you want to maintain the great response you get in these periodicals, you have to make improvements.
Absolutely. We have to keep up with what's going on in our neighborhood.
Okay. Time for our break. Speaking of keeping up, here come the meetings now, so you can keep up on what's happening in your city from Twinsburg. With Kathy Prokop from the city of Twinsburg. I bring this up every year, and I always think it needs to be brought up because your safety forces do such a nice job with this. You had this huge open house. Greg, our director, actually saw the traffic and so on for this. Explain, it came and went, and explain what it is again and how big this thing is, because it is a citywide event.
It's very big. And you're talking about the Safety Forces Open House,
Yeah.
which is at the beginning of October. That is Safety Fire Week, for one thing, so that's why we try to coordinate with that. And the equipment's out. We have demonstrations on CPR. The jail's open so that the kids can go through the jail and see what it looks like and see the equipment that the police officers use. We have all kinds of demonstrations and instructional things that children can participate in. It's very interactive. And there's also popcorn and hot dogs and things like that. But the community loves it. And I think the other reason they love it is because the kids get to be up front and personal with the officers, with the firefighters, talk to them, and interact with them.
I can't assume that it's a burden to the fire department.
They
because
love it.
This is a perfect PR tool for them.
It is.
To show off what they have, for one, and like you said, to interact with the community.
It is. And one of the coolest things that we did, and this is the first time we have ever done it, Chief Morgan suggested this, and that was to swear in our newest firefighter that evening. So we were in front, well, the backdrop was a fire truck, and
Which is nerve-wracking enough, but I got to think he was like, really? You're making me the
Well,
first
he
one?
comes from a long line of firefighters,
Okay.
so it was kind of really neat. His dad was there and his grandfather, and his name is Joe Sugar. He was a part-time firefighter, and he's now full-time. And it was absolutely delightful being able to have the community see one of our officers being sworn in.
Usually it's done at a council meeting when you have a hand smattering of people at.
And it was,
What kind of turnout, again, do you usually have for
oh
this?
my
Do you know
gosh,
what?
really, we must have about 700, 800 people.
Right.
It's really very, very
Well,
nice.
maybe, and let's see if this ties in, maybe some of these kids that have come over the years, because you've done this for a while now,
Yes.
it may pique their interest into something like a Young Explorers program, and I know you're starting this up. So explain to everyone what that is. And
Well, this is a program for teens who are in high school, 9th through 12th grade, and it's led by an officer. Officer Dan Beata in our police department is running the Explorer program.
Okay.
And the kids get to do ride-alongs. They get familiar with the duties that a police officer does. It's very instructional, very interactive, and it's a great way for somebody who's considering a position or a career in law enforcement to be involved and see what it's really like. And just recently, the fire department decided they are also going to have a Young Explorers program, and we'll be starting
now,
theirs
I've
up.
seen this Explorer program, I believe, in Northfield Center does it within the Cable 9 area and so on. And I know for a fact that some of the kids that were in high school that went through that program are currently on their staff now, years later, as firefighters. So this is not a bad way when you're in grade to test the waters on a possible career in this field.
Absolutely. I think that's the best way for kids to get familiar with something they might be interested in and consider. So I'm all for it, and the officers love it. It's a good community program.
Is it too late, or if anyone's interested?
No, they can
what
absolutely
should they do?
contact City Hall. They can call the main number, 425-7161, and we'll direct them to either the police department or the fire department, get them in touch with the program.
Especially when kids have no idea what they want to do. This is another avenue for them to at least see
If
what's
you have
out
any
there.
interest at all, it would be worth your while to get involved.
Okay. Let's get into some dates now, because this is when the time of year gets real busy as far as holidays and that sort of thing. And we'll stick in November because that's what we're in right now. The Turkey Trot, the 5-mile run. Do you want to plug that? And that's another big event.
And that's November 8th, and it's a lot of fun. And it's exactly what you said, the Turkey Trot. So we're getting ready for the fall kickoff of Thanksgiving, and it's wonderful.
Well, let me give you two. It's a 5-mile run. So let's
Yes.
let people know that so you dress appropriately. 10 a.m. and that takes off from the fitness center?
It does.
Okay. So that's the first. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to mention something else that we just another event that we just had, and that was the Touch a Truck event
Okay.
or Truck or Treat event. And they were telling me there were about 400 children at that event.
Oh, that's the Halloween one.
That's the Halloween one where the copter landed, and
Okay.
this was our biggest year ever, and I guess it really was something to see. So
That's cool.
Just want to mention that.
And we'll mention this next month again, but Breakfast with Santa is big in Twinsburg, and we mentioned it with Aurora and Ann. So tell me about your Breakfast with
Breakfast with Santa is usually at the community center, opportunity for parents to take pictures. Well, this year it's going to be down in the fire department. We've always wanted to do a joint event with the fire department for Christmas, and Chief Morgan, his staff recommended this one, so we're looking forward to it. This will be the first time, Breakfast with Santa at the fire station.
Okay, and again, we'll plug that when
We'll
it gets
get you a
closer.
date.
Okay. Now, your rec center, if you're not a member of the rec center, but you want to go there and you have a walk-up fee, that is going up. So tell us where that
We do.
came
There's
from.
going to be an increase in our drop-in rate. It's going from $5 to $10. We just have so many drop-ins that we just really need to be able to control that a little bit. So that's going up. And also news at our fitness center is Witch Witch is coming in, which is a new
Oh, yeah,
sandwich
because Subway
place.
left.
Subway
I can't
left.
believe Subway left your place. Was it because of lack of business, or they just didn't want to renew their
Well,
lease? Or?
I think that there were times that they couldn't be there, that we wanted them there. It just wasn't
gotcha.
working out. So hopefully this is going to work out, where you have every confidence it will, and we encourage you to
Well, it's
come
not
up
like
and
they got to bring a bunch of stuff in because it's already there.
Right.
Okay. And when do they move in, or when do they start?
they will be shortly in a few
Okay.
weeks here.
All right, let's talk about, this is the time of year when I brought this up also, leaf pickup. What does the city of Twinsburg do as far as letting people know we're coming to get your leaves, and how long does this program go on?
Pretty much we just post signs all over the city that this is, the week that we're doing it, and we do a route. We start at one end of the city and just work our way through. Actually, we started at a couple ends of the city. We have 3 leaf pickup trucks, 2 of them in operation right now. Our third one broke down, but we'll be back on the road shortly.
And this isn't just done one time through.
No, we just keep making the circuit. And we do that as much as we can in the month of October and as long as we can until it starts snowing.
So really, there's no way of saying on Maple Street, be ready.
No, because you don't know, one street might not have any leaves, and so you get through there very quickly to the next one. The next one you might get slowed down. It's just too hard to be able to.
Now, do you have rules, I can't remember, where you keep them out of the ditch and do they
Right.
break them to the road?
You don't want 'em-
You don't want them on the street, but you also don't want it in the ditch to plug everything up.
Exactly. That's perfect. Neither of those 2 places. Please, somewhere else.
But that goes on till when?
Usually till it snows.
Oh, first time? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's good to hear. I brought this up because you're one of the few communities that are doing this right now. The police department, I think, has approved this.
They have.
You're going to be getting body cams. So tell everyone how this was financed, first of all, because people want to know that. The reason for this, and his people like Chief Noga and that, did they bring that to you, or did you bring it to him? Are they for it or against? Because some police departments don't want anything to do with cams.
Right. It was really all of it started coming out in the news about body cams on police officers, and we had already been in the process of purchasing them through grant money
Before Ferguson.
before that even came out. And I was really pleased that the department was so proactive about using them. We won't be starting off with one for every officer, but hopefully that will occur sometime in the future. I don't know exactly how much they cost.
I can't believe it's cheap, though.
No, I'm sure it's not. But they will be distributed on each shift, so every shift will have one. And I think it's a great idea. Anything that we can help protect our officers. They have a really critical job, and it's a really difficult job.
Well, and I got to think, too, they may be expensive initially to pay for. However, the cost of when these people get into court battles, as far as he said, she said, and those sort of things, when you have something like this that can't be manipulated and is, really cuts down the thinking of, I'm going to make a few bucks by taking this to court, you can...
Right. We already know how helpful the vehicle cameras have been.
Right.
And this is just another step, another precaution up from that. So anything that we can do to help them make their job easier.
And we didn't say, but this didn't come out of the general fund. Do you want to tell
No,
us?
it didn't come out of the general fund. It came out of a grant fund that we have. So the department is paying for that.
Isn't it like
It's a
from narcotics busts and some drug money and that sort of thing?
It's-
The cities get this back when you have
Right.
that sort of thing.
It's a pot that has that money in there and some grant money.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure people know this isn't coming out of the LEAP
Right.
fund or anything like
Right.
that.
Even if it were, though, I'd be still in favor of it.
Well, I know we're a little bit short, but I'm out of things on here. Anything else you want to bring up?
No, that's
Okay.
about all I have for this time of year.
Okay. Again, next month we'll have a reminder of all the holiday items that you need to know about. And if you have any questions, again, call the City Hall at 330-963-716 or 425-7161
That's
is the
it.
main number. If you have any questions about any of these things, go for it. And we'll see you next month.
Sounds good. Thank
All
you.
right.